Welcome and thank you for taking the time to join us today.
I'm David Lenzen
from Marquette Group, and I'm joined by Gary Richmond. Today, Gary and I will be providing an update on trends in digital marketing related to small and medium-sized businesses.
A few housekeeping notes before we get started. Please ensure that your phone is muted. Use the questions window if you'd like to provide feedback or ask a question. And we'll address those questions along the way. And at the end of the webinar, we'll also provide contact information if you're interested. So the content for our webinar is the result of our attendance at the BIA Kelsey SMB Digital Marketing Conference in Austin, Texas a few weeks ago. There were a number of great presentations during the conference, and we're pleased to share some of the insights from the conference as well as our perspective. Before we get started, I'd like to provide a quick overview of Marquette Group. We provide strategies and programs that help brands generate leads at the local level. With our roots in the original search engine, print Yellow Pages, today our ROI-based programs include a portfolio of integrated digital advertising solutions, including local, social, mobile, and search. We'll provide more information on our services at the end of the webinar. But at this time, Gary will dive into the highlights of the recent BIA Kelsey conference.
Good morning to all. As you can see by the agenda screen, there's a series of subjects that we'll cover, including the digital landscape, small to medium business, trends in the marketplace, mobile marketing, video marketing, social, all related to the perspective and through the lens of the small and medium business and those that service that industry. And then ultimately a quick subject matter about an integrated approach on how to seek solutions to address the marketing needs of the SMBs. Marquette Group, as David mentioned, is an advertising agency that focuses on driving sales leads on behalf of those local franchises or national brands. And for more information, please go to marquettegroup.com and you will find a great deal of insight to how we go to market. So jumping right into the digital landscape, there's a really interesting phenomenon going in the marketplace. And quite frankly, this slide really summarized it very well in the fact that there's a new normal out in the market. The new normal is transitioning very quickly and is going to continue to evolve moving forward. But for the moment, we've tried to capture what is being talked about, what these trends are, and certainly what the leading edge of the industry is addressing. One of the most interesting things that came out of the BIA Kelsey conference was this insight of Generation C. And this is kind of the crowd that ultimately we're going to be working on marketing to. And this is a group that is constantly creating, curating, connecting, and communicating primarily through digital methodology and, quite frankly, primarily through mobile applications for mobile in general. So as we discuss and go through this series of slides, that will become more apparent. And just remember this concept of Generation C. So when you look at the marketplace, and what you'll see throughout this presentation is we've leveraged a series of slides that were presented at the BIA Kelsey conference. We've given credit to those that were the slides that we've taken. So you'll see credits down at the lower footer of the page. And so I wanted to give justice to those that presented. But there's a series of points here that I think ultimately will make sense as we go through it. So when the SMBs are out trying to figure out how to market themselves, they are quite frankly time-starved, confused, and anxious about this changing marketplace and where should they really be spending their money. And so this slide from Kelsey really well illustrated, I think, the confusion that's in place and the fact that we can't solve the dazed and stalled phase where small business owners are trying to figure out exactly where to spend their time and effort and monies in which to drive results. And they're looking for trusted resources to basically filter the noise and ultimately build knowledge and make intelligent decisions.
And Gary, before you move on, I think it's really important to note these small businesses are being contacted at least once a day by some digital advertising solution provider. Typically, the numbers anywhere from 30 to 40 times a month. These folks are contacted. So if there's 20 or 22 business days in a month, obviously they're getting contacted very frequently and solicited for these types of services. So again, really contributes to that, the day's malaise, the stalling, if you will, in terms of being able to put people through the funnel.
So as we look at the local ad marketplace as a whole, BIA Kelsey, and one of the things that they do a very excellent job is projecting out what the future looks like. And this is a comparison of 2013, the market from a local ad perspective, and what they're projecting out for 2017. If you look on the right-hand side of this graph, you'll see where the true growth is going to be coming. It's on those digital products and mobile. We all inherently know that, but it's becoming more and more apparent going forward that this is where the activity is going to be, and a number of interesting innovations are coming on that front. And again, we'll talk this throughout this document, but there's some significant growth going to take place on the right-hand side of the slide. And conversely, some lack of growth or regression of dollars being spent in some of the traditional media.
But speaking of the traditional media, I think it's very important to note the relevance of direct mail. It continues to be a very powerful medium for marketing communications, and I think while we're seeing degradation in direct mail, it's still a pretty high percentage. And I think with the advent of big data and some of the tools and technologies that are available even down to the small business level with regard to leveraging data as it relates to direct mail, we'll continue to see direct mail being very important moving forward, as BIA Kelsey has indicated in their recent research.
So if you look at the slide that's up on screen at the moment, one of the trends that's happening in the marketplace is they're starting to quantify and recognize the value of this local ad marketplace. And this $45.3 billion that's projected by Burrell and Associates is very significant, and that's creating a lot of activity in the real leading-edge technology suppliers and providers out in the marketplace. They are really looking at ways to find solutions and service this market, which leads us into one of the trends that was talked about very actively and multiple times from stage at the conference, was the fact that many of these firms are looking at ways and will be leveraging software as a service in a method in which to solve the local SMB and franchise organizations' marketing problems at a local level. The concept here is the fact that you need the technology and the applications and platforms in which to create the scalability to drive these local solutions and individualize these local campaigns at market level, and be able to do it affordably and with cost-effective targeting for these SMBs. So this is one of the most significant things that was discussed, and I think this will be a driving trend over the next couple of years, that you're going to see more and more technology applications to address these local solutions.
And before we move on, I think as it relates to SaaS platforms, a number of comments that were made along the way during the presentation were along the lines of the importance of SaaS-based platforms in terms of retaining customers, and that the software solves a lot of problems. It really creates stickiness with customers and the SMBs in terms of their ability to manage, or at least not necessarily manage, but see the insights into their digital advertising programs. And through software as a service delivered over the web, that's certainly an easy way, a very intuitive way for SMB owners and operators to really understand what's happening with their digital marketing programs. Similarly, it was really stressed that if you're going to go down that path, you have to deliver a great SaaS experience along the way. And that's going to be really critical moving forward as folks adopt these types of technologies related to digital advertising.
So as we look at this through the SMB's perspective, and Bing brought this slide forward, I think there's a lot of good learning here. The real opportunity with the SMBs is to be able to prove ROI in your advertising. Go back to the confusion slide that we talked about earlier. These folks need value and key performance indicators to make educated decisions And that's the number one driving need that the SMBs feel needs to be addressed, as well as figuring out how to overcome the complexity of the marketplace. Again, I think these are very significant and a problem that organizations like ourselves are trying to solve on behalf of big brand, and certainly the franchise groups and the organizations, the national advertisers that have local facilities in which they're trying to promote. This continues to be a problem that day in and day out needs to improve. So this quote is extremely significant from a perspective of that changing marketplace and the new norm. And as you can see on screen, what we need is a shift in mindset. No longer does it make sense to tell and sell to the prospective client as much as trying to build that relationship. And get into some of the reasons why that is, but the blending of mobile and the localization, the social sites and the ratings and reviews and all those things come into play to create a very unique marketplace at the local level that is much more engagement oriented. And so we'll continue to talk about that through this, but I think this is a very significant mind or thought to capture, is this mind shift needs to take place from us as marketers.
And I think as it relates to the building of those relationships that Gary mentioned, the paid media, the owned media, and the earned media really comes into play there. And there's a lot of discussion about content marketing, and then again around where paid, owned, and earned fits into the mix into the equation and the solution that's being delivered on behalf of SMBs.
So when you look at SMB trends, and the next section we'll go into is indeed SMB trends. The three primary trends that VIA Kelsey basically stated early in the conference were, as you see on screen, and the conference was basically built around these three premises of the social media engagement and that significance at the local level and how that impacts businesses. And you see a number of elements below that in the sub-bullet that talks about that includes landing pages, home pages, and all the other elements that are listed there. Equally important is retail and transactions and big data and coupons and showrooming and some of the buzzwords that are happening in the industry. How's that impacting these small to medium businesses in the marketplace? And then how do they leverage it from a loyalty and promotions perspective? We even saw technology that starts doing automated booking and scheduling so that it's a better user experience when the consumer shows up at the point and place of business. And lastly, and probably most significantly, is the mobile transition that's taking place and how important it is from a mobile optimization, a geo-targeting standpoint, the fact that mobile's always on, and it's really a very viable and valuable marketing tool. And future out, not too distant future out, the e-wallet capabilities that mobile is going to bring in, that will significantly impact the way we market moving forward.
Just an interesting stat, or a couple of stats that were provided by the presenter from Facebook at the conference. He mentioned that 18 million local businesses now have pages on Facebook, and that there are now 1 million advertisers, business advertisers on Facebook, and that's doubled from a year ago. So again, the social media and the engagement is really growing as it relates to Facebook in particular.
So another subject that came up that we think is timely within this conversation and a story that we're trying to tell today is there's a phenomenon going on in the marketplace that nobody's really captured and figured out how to overcome. We're all playing to it, but it's an interesting phenomenon of this on versus offline integrated experience. And you'll see some statistics on page that 82% of this is a survey done from the consumer's perspective. 82% want a seamless experience. In other words, they want to be able to start online and go offline, or vice versa, go offline first and then shift to online. It's a very significant element of today's marketplace. If you look at the statistic in the lower left corner, 55% use their phone in store to do comparison shopping. So it's very relevant to the experience, and if they find alternatives cheaper or in stock elsewhere, chances are they'll walk out the store and move on to another location. It even goes so far as the fact that 2/3 of shoppers have some kind of retail app on their phone, and they use it very frequently.
I would also just add that, in the case of the Google presenter, that person mentioned that, we live in a constantly connected world, and that was something that really resonated with me, and it really kind of validated in this slide where we see these very interesting statistics, and it also, again goes back to the paid, owned, and earned media approach that you need to have a unique mix in terms of what you're doing as a small, medium-sized business in terms of a marketing communications approach.
So let's shift for a moment and go into mobile and talk through some of the relevancy that was discussed at the conference. The first slide we have is the transition or segmentation that's taking place within mobile. Mobile is inherently a very valuable targeting tool. We all carry our phones with us practically 24/7. With GPS enhanced or location enhanced phones, there's the ability to really target to a finite area. And you'll note the transition from 2012 to 2017 and the basic growth that's being projected for location-based targeting. And I think this is very significant moving forward. You're going to see more and more retailers or local businesses leveraging this capability. And if the large organizations with multi-unit locations out in the marketplace don't react to that, they're probably going to be outpaced by some of their competition in the local market. So shifting from that to the fact that local purchases are increasingly driven by online search, that we all are now averaging 5 hours a day plus on the internet. It's still dominated by PC, but I would suggest that's because we all sit in an office, or a large portion of us sit in an office in front of a PC during the day or during our job. But you'll note there's significant time being spent on mobile and tablets and significantly on game consoles. If you look at the lower section of each of these 4 boxes, the predicted sales in 2013, there's going to be as many game consoles sold in 2013 as there is PCs. And there's basically 6 times that volume in mobile phones and a little bit more than almost 1.5 times the volume in tablets. So the transition is obvious here. PCs aren't going to go away, but there is a very significant element of the fact that it's now essential for these small businesses to react to this local search, because that local search is going to be driven through the mobile and tablet platform.
Well, to that end, with technology driving down to availability and adoption from a SMB perspective, I mean, just think about gaming consoles, PlayStation. PlayStation 4 is about to be released, and it's remarkable to think about the games now and the ability to not only deliver national branded ads within gaming. Now we're talking about small to medium-sized businesses being able to do very targeted advertising delivery within a game console. I mean, that's a huge progression, if you will, in terms of the ability to target from an advertising perspective.
So David mentioned earlier there was a speaker at the conference from Google, and there were a number of things that they brought to the table. And there were a couple statistics that we thought were very relevant, and I apologize that they're a little bit hidden. But the interesting elements here: 88% of AdWords clicks are incremental to organic clicks. That's interesting in its own right. But 19% of the online shopping takes place from 8 p.m. to midnight. It's really transitioning to what's convenient for me. We've all known that. We've seen that in the marketplace. But here's some hard statistics. And then 50% of the online purchases journey takes in excess of 19 days. So what's happening is that consumers are becoming much more educated as they're shopping, much more prepared once they make a purchase, whether that be online or offline. And in certain verticals, the statistic at the bottom of the page, more than 50% of all queries in certain industries are being done on a mobile device. Again, a significant change from what we've seen in the past. So if you look at mobile and local, there's some interesting stats here that were brought forward by BIA Kelsey. We're not so much worried about the right-hand side of the screen for this conversation with the various types of phones or platforms. But what's more important is smartphones are now more than 60% of the penetration in the marketplace. 20% of searches of total searches are being done in mobile, and 50% of that search being done in mobile is a local search, inherently a local search. The statistic that's very stunning is mobile searches have grown fivefold in the last 2 years. And our point is just to reinforce the fact that this is very much a presence that needs to be dealt with, and marketers really need to leverage this in a very favorable way, because it brings such great opportunity to the marketplace.
And again, the part that stunned me on this one was, comparing the mobile search, the 50% of mobile search being local compared to 20% on the desktop. I mean, again, if people want to go, it's that being constantly connected, and where you're at is where we want the information. And again, the idea that previous statistic about previous slide that talked about some of the starting going to the desktop, going to the tablet, just the ubiquity of the access, then also the device agnostic approach that folks are taking to getting more information.
Excuse me. So when you look at the comparison of searches being done on a desktop device versus being done on a mobile device, and you'll see various statistics out there, but this is BIA Kelsey's prediction that come 2015, there will be an intersection point where there will be more mobile searches done than desktop searches in the marketplace. But the highlighted bullet there in the middle, only 5% currently of SMBs are optimized, their websites are optimized for mobile. There's a huge opportunity here that's not being leveraged, and a very significant message being delivered that there's missed opportunity, quite frankly. And we think that's a significant trend that needs to be addressed by organizations that are on the phone as well as those out in the marketplace. Another interesting slide that came from Bing is the one that you now see on screen. And it talks about and basically segments out the processes that, or the journey as they call it, that takes place in a consumer's decision-making process in the marketplace. And while interesting in its own right, and I'm not going to read every detail that's here, what I find very interesting is the fact that you're now looking at the experiencing column, where not only are you buying something, then you go out and make a reference to it in ratings and reviews. You talk about it in the marketplace. So there's a tail end of this process that wasn't in consideration in the recent past, that you want to make sure that consumer walks away with a positive experience with your organization. Again, the influence of social taking place in the market. So mobile is driving valuable outcomes for businesses. And you see the statistics here, but interestingly, 73% of mobile searches trigger an additional action and conversion. Of that, 63% of these mobile search trigger actions within an hour's time, and 55% of conversions take place within an hour of the initial mobile search. This indirectly and very specifically talks about the fact that those transactions are happening locally, because they couldn't happen within that short amount of time frame if it wasn't in the local marketplace. So below you'll see six charts that talk about what those actions were, for visiting a store to visiting a website and everything in between. Again, a very significant activity is the fact that so much of this volume is being done on a mobile device, and then what's done on a mobile device happens very rapidly. This is a tremendous opportunity in our eyes for those local businesses to gain presence and make a difference in driving business in the marketplace. So transitioning out of mobile, and we've reinforced in numerous ways that mobile is a tremendous opportunity. But what's not getting nearly as much airwaves, but is also a very viable option for these small and medium businesses is video. And video is transitioning very quickly. And there are three slides here that we leverage from an organization called Sightly. And Sightly is got some statistics here that we think are significant. If you look at the difference of online video, the upper left corner of television those that watch or view television versus those that view video, that gap is closing very quickly. The average time spent on media, there's more time spent online now than there is on a television. And just look at the right the farthest right bubble there, the amount of videos watched in 1 year's time grew by in excess of about 20–25%. It's a very significant lift in 1 year. There is a definite trend happening in the marketplace that people are turning to on-demand watching rather than the traditional watching at the schedules in which the broadcast and cable TV is sent out to the marketplace. And interesting, the lower quadrant there, the devices per household, there's almost three times as many mobile devices, or I'm sorry, twice as many internet-connected devices as there is televisions in the average household. Again, a tremendous opportunity to target and drive success.
And before we move on from this slide, I think it's really important. I know we've got a couple of other slides here from Sightly, but some of the key points that I took away from this particular session was the ability or the opportunity to extend what has been traditionally broadcast or TV creative to online. And I'll take that a step further as it relates to the types of brands that we work with typically is really localizing a national ad campaign by being able to tag that creative with a very local targeted message down to a specific very small geographic footprint. So again, it's not only extending the TV creative and leveraging those assets, but it's really being able to use that creative to localize and deliver it in a very targeted manner to a specific audience. The other thing is, stress was, because of this, 40% of watch time of video is now online. It's really important to create content within videos that's online and not just commercials. You see this by a lot of major brand advertising. They'll have an Audi ad, but then they'll have an extended play version, if you will, out available on YouTube. So I think again, that the ability to create content, not just a commercial, is really important. The other thing that we heard loud and clear in this particular presentation was strategic audience targeting, which I alluded to earlier, and then really being able to deliver and have responsive landing pages to pay off the creative in a very targeted manner at a local level as necessary or as relevant for a particular campaign. So I think again, very interesting to see video finally coming to the forefront and being a very viable option from an SMB digital advertising perspective.
So David referred to a little bit of this, but equally important to think about what video is. Now you have the capability to distribute it, target it very strategically, measure conversions through responsive landing pages and a number of other techniques. Ultimately, you will gain the reporting on the back end to make decisions on how to optimize these programs. So there is a true ecosystem from an advertising perspective in the marketplace that makes this a very viable option from an advertising standpoint that didn't exist in the recent past. There's probably more measurement capabilities of this than there is traditional TV viewing. So not to be overlooked is that true targeting and distribution capability that's available with video. So when you talk about targeting, here are some of the elements that can be brought forward from a targeting perspective. You can really get down into true local targeting, what Sightly refers to as hyper-local. And micro-demographics And the other activities that you see here are other segments that we can target too. But at the end of the day, what it brings is that capability to drive through strong conversion because you're targeting your potential client in the marketplace. So transitioning away from video onto social. And social is a very interesting phenomenon that quite frankly is blurring the lines of the traditional, there is such a thing as a traditional digital perspective of local, social, mobile, and search. That social is now sort of interwoven within advertising and marketing. And you can see the statistics here. And this is from a small and medium business perspective. When asked about their engagement by Kelsey, you see the statistics that are listed here. 72% of SMBs use social in some form to promote their business. They have Facebook pages, they use Google+, they use a number of other devices, but 66 or two-thirds of these folks are saying that they're actively or extremely engaged with the customers in the social media platform. I would suggest it may not be as active as we would consider active, but nonetheless, you got two-thirds of small businesses doing some form of engagement with their clients out in the marketplace through social media. And then Kelsey took that one step further, VIA Kelsey took this one step further and looked at what vehicles they're utilizing to do this engagement and really the owned and earned media channels that they're using to gain traction. And you can see everything from Facebook, which is the dominant component, to the videos on YouTube and those in between. Again, the small and medium businesses in the marketplace are catching up to the market trends and reacting accordingly and leveraging social in which to drive activity.
And I would just add, while we make the transition to the next slide, that you know, as it relates to Twitter, the presenter from Twitter really talked about, again, stressing content marketing and talking about, that ads, again, are content, and that you need to make that non-disruptive, if you will, in the case of Twitter. Within the Twitter feeds, you're seeing ads now with some very subtle identification as such. But again, the idea, of course, Twitter's perspective is going to be that ads are content, especially within their particular channels.
So the slide that's up on screen is somewhat stunning when you think about it, but basically 1 out of every 5 minutes spent on a mobile device is on either Facebook or Instagram. While these things are, in theory, telephones, there is so much more activity that's taking place, but 20% of the time is being spent in a pure social play environment. Very significant, probably will be a growing trend moving forward, but something to take into consideration when you look at your overall market plans on how to leverage this further.
And I think that was really, again, Facebook, the presenter from Facebook pointed out that what small to medium-sized businesses are doing today is bringing big company marketing tactics, to small businesses. And so, Facebook is certainly acknowledging that and the importance of that. There's a huge opportunity with the long tail of SMBs, and whether it's Facebook or Twitter, Yelp, you name it, they're all pursuing the long tail and ensuring that, again, those big brand or big company marketing tactics transcend and translate to SMBs.
So Bing brought forward another element of social that I think is very relevant. The fact that local search and social recommendations are converging. I mentioned in an earlier slide that there's this conversion of, if you will, the segments within digital. But this is very significant as well, that if you look at the sites that are called out here with Yelp, TripAdvisor, and Facebook, each of these sites has a search functionality and a ratings and review functionality of some form, or the ability to post opinion about places of business. So there's this convergence, and even take it further with, for instance, Facebook graph search. You can go out and search opinions within your friends of what they think about certain businesses or organizations. So this ability to search and review social recommendations are very much in convergence and affecting the way we go to market moving forward. But the real dilemma is, how do you measure the success of social media? If you recall the quote that was mentioned early in this presentation about the shifting mindset, this is where that shifting mindset really comes into play and hits rubber kind of hits the road, and the fact that you'll know the 62% social marketing is a promising tactic that will eventually produce ROI. How do you justify expending money in social if you can't just put a justified ROI behind it? It's a very difficult phenomenon for marketers such as ourselves to address and drive through an organization, quite frankly, but it's becoming very much the need, especially if you think about Generation C and the generation preceding it, that is so active in this realm of online social media and the convergence of all these different segments of the marketplace. So this statistic is just reinforcing the dilemma that not only large organizations are having, but the local and small businesses are having. And the fact, how do you justify the expenditure in social, and what is the ROI behind it? How is it moving the needle in my business?
So before we move on to kind of a quick overview of Marquette Group, a little more information about Marquette Group, if I had to summarize the BIA Kelsey conference, there are probably four areas. Again, mobile was dominated from a content perspective, and where mobile is headed and as it relates to SMBs. Content marketing, the importance of content as it relates to paid, owned, and earned media was stressed throughout the conference. And then, of course, where we started, or the beginning of our webinar, talking about software as a service, and that the solutions need to be elegant and simple and create a user experience that resonates with small businesses so that they're not overwhelmed and they're providing value to them, not necessarily from a self-service provisioning and deployment of a particular program, but once the program is up and running, being able to see tangible ROI, or at least the results being surfaced from an ROI perspective, so that those small, medium-sized businesses can make marketing decisions and investment decisions around their marketing programs. In terms of, again, we appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. Wanted to give you a little more information about Marquette Group. We take an integrated approach to connect local consumers to national brands at the local level. And so we do that through five primary areas of offering, if you will. Local, anything from listings management to DX, social, where we're working from a presence and promotion and brand monitoring perspective. We do that from a mobile perspective. We're doing some very interesting engagement programs from a mobile advertising perspective. We're delivering very relevant, localized ads to mobile devices where someone is and connecting them with the national brand that has a presence, whether it's a store or an agent, whatever it might be, that might be right across the street or within a block of where that person is standing. And then, of course, search, we're doing paid search, SEO, internet, and print yellow pages. So that's really the core of our offering. And then the fifth element is really the response measurement, being able to prove and demonstrate ROI to our customers and their local outlets, if you will. But I think, again, there's huge opportunity for somebody to do this direct as opposed to a partner like Marquette Group. And from our perspective, it's our ability to create that holistic multi-channel strategy and then corresponding programs is a huge differentiator for us. We also manage a very diverse network of service providers and vendors that we work with, and we have a lot of capacity and buying power, if you will, with those providers. We also help our clients manage their data and support in supporting brand and affiliate marketing communications programs. But I think at the end of the day, and this was also stressed at the meeting or at the conference we attended in Austin, that you have to be able to provide the customer service around that, service opportunity around providing these types of digital advertising solutions to small to medium-sized businesses, there's a huge opportunity and a huge differentiator from just good old-fashioned customer service and taking care of our clients and programs that we're deploying on their behalf.
So up on screen is contact information for David and myself. We welcome the opportunity to answer questions directly. There's a little time left that if you would like to type up a question and send it via the platform here, we'd willingly tackle that. I don't see any questions listed at the moment. I did get a few feedbacks early on, or comments early on about the feedback that we had on the audio. Hopefully that got resolved as we repositioned away from the speaker. But nonetheless, if there are questions that we can answer, we welcome those. Or if you'd like to reach out directly to David or myself, there is the contact information to do so. We'll stay online for a few minutes and monitor for questions that come up. But thank you very much for your attendance. We appreciate your time.